Welcome back to the PLC Professor's Workshop. This lecture is going to be a just for fun. It's not really an advanced subject, but we're kind of jumping ahead and doing a little bit with timers so we can use some timers in some of the things that we want to do. So it's not really a sneak peek, but it's just for fun. We're not going to be exhaustive in talking about timer data types. So it's just a little aside for fun. Next thing we're going to discuss is just for fun number 2, RSLogix 5000. Here's another good reason for saving your projects with a unique name. We need you to open beginner L, whatever your processor number is, just for fun 1, and then immediately save it as beginner L, whatever your processor number is, fun number 2, or just for fun number 2, J4F2. Just name it something that you know it's a just for fun number 2. And we're starting with these two rungs that you see in front of you. And you can see this goes back a ways. If you didn't save your project just for fun number 1, it's easy to quickly create these tags and put them in a new project and configure your I/O accordingly. What we want to do is we want to edit, and we're going to do this in the offline mode or the online. It really doesn't matter. In the manual, it's said to do it in the offline mode. So we had you mouse over a TON instruction. You find that in timer counter. Mouse over TON and drag it down to here. See, you can see all these green memes. Drop it on that one right there. Then mouse over a true if on. So you go back to favorites, or you can go to bit. Favorites, the difference between favorites and bits is that you have some one-shots in here. Favorites you can add to. Let's say the ONS one-shot instruction is a favorite. You can add it to favorites by editing your toolbar. But for now, we'll just grab this and drag it over here. See where we're dragging it? You can drag it across. As soon as it turns green, that meme, you can let go. You can see right now we're saying if this is true, start a timer. And when something else, then turn on my first bit. That's what we have so far. Okay, and this is roughly page 115, 16, 17, something like that in your manual. We can't give you a specific page number because as we change and edit things, then we would have to go back and edit the videos to make it match. We've learned the hard way to be as vague as possible in certain cases, enough to get you to the right spot, but vague enough where it doesn't sound like, oh, page 115, it's not there, I must be in the wrong place or have the wrong manual. We do the same for the second rung. You could always go up here, drag it down. There's a bunch of different ways you can do this. One way you can do it is select the instruction before where you want to put it. So we want to put it right here. So you select this, then just click on TON, go back to favorites, and click on true if on. You could bring focus, click and drop it, drag and drop it, or you could have selected, Control, select, Control C, come down here, select this, Control V, just like you would in a word processor. There's lots of ways you can do this. It doesn't hurt to experiment. We are going to use the on-delay timers to delay the rung toggling that you played with in just for fun number 1. In addition to that, we are going to create new tags in a more conventionally used method. We start with this. This is a timer on-delay instruction, and we need a timer data type because as you'll realize there's not TON data types, TOF data types, RTO data types. They're just timer data types. So we need to name and define a tag as a timer data type. Delay my first bit. That's a new tag. Now, RSLogix 5000 is very intuitive, so when I say new, it automatically comes up with a timer because it knows you're doing it within the constraints of a timer instruction. And I suppose that you could go pick something else instead of a timer data type, but it would not accept it when you try to finalize all edits or to accept them. So hit create, then you can drag this over here, double click, and make it the done bit. I'm doing this slightly out of order of what we did in the book. That's okay. So I'm going to type DN, enter. Down here, I'm going to name this one delay my second bit. I'm going to make it a timer data type. On this one, I'll do what I didn't do on the first one, which is what I had you do in the manual. I had you double click on this to open it, drop down, go to my second bit, double click on the done bit. So that's another way to enter it, to do the same thing. Page 119 or so, in the step there, we have the logic that you see in front of you, and we wanted you to save, so we will save this. It is just for fun too, so we'll save it, download. Now we download, go online in the run mode and test our code. One thing to note here, now that you have worked a little with module defined tags, is that notice that all of these memory locations are without any association to actual field input or output devices. We don't have any presets in the timer, so they really don't have anything to accumulate. In the manual, I had you enter 1000. To do that, you just click on the preset value, type in 1000, enter. That's a 1 second preset. All of the timer data types in the Logix engine are in 1 millisecond increments. They count units of time in 1,000ths of a second. If 1,000 milliseconds, 1 second, is not long enough, if it's not a long enough delay, increase the presets to 3,000 milliseconds or 3 seconds to allow comfortable observation of the logic. We'll go ahead and bump these up to 3 seconds. At 3,000 for both presets, how long is the bit, my first bit, on at one time? It's on for 3 seconds. How long is my second bit off at a time? You may have to think about that. Look at the code. If my second bit is off, the timer begins timing, and when it's done, it turns on my first bit. My first bit turns on, and the second timer data type starts timing, and when it's done, it turns on my second bit, which means that these two rungs are toggling back and forth, my first bit for 3 seconds. And because my first bit is on, I see I misspelled second. I can't leave it that way. I'm going to have to edit this. You see it fixed it here too. My second bit is off. This is true. The timer times out. When it's done, it turns on my first bit. When my first bit turns on, then this timer starts timing out. When it's done, it turns on my second bit, which makes this go false. This resets. My first bit goes off. The timer resets, it's no longer done, and my second bit goes off. So you see that my second bit is only on for 1 scan. You can't see it, but it is going on. We know that it is going done. Now remember how we trap something that we can't see. I'm going to add a rung. my second bit, if that goes on, now that was a tag that we defined in a different lab, so we have to create it again. See, it latched on. So even though you can't see my second bit going on in the data table, it has to be going on, otherwise it would not latch this bit. Remember, the reason that we did this, put in these time delays, is to slow down the process so you could actually watch the logic to see that it toggles back and forth. My second bit off turns on my first bit on turns on my second bit, and then on the next scan my second bit is on, so the rung 0 is false, so it turns off my first bit. We throw these things in here once in a while just for your fun.